What's up, guys? It's Migs with Market Open. Let's go ahead and do the market recap for the day. As you can see, my hit percentage today was atrocious. My first trade of the day was Riot. I'm honestly really starting to hate these damn blockchain companies. They're really hard to trade. They're really whippy. But yeah, so Riot this morning was gapping up like it usually does. I feel like OSTK, Riot, Mara, and Grow, they basically all gap up and down every single day. So that's why I don't really like to trade them, but it was on the watch list this morning. There wasn't really a lot on the watch list this morning since the volatility kind of died down from the past couple of days. So I went ahead and put this on here. All right, so Riot, I took right at 934 on the fourth candle. As you can see on here, the candles are kind of whippy back and forth, meaning that they get bought up and then they get sold off really fast, so they can't really quite make up their mind. So I ended up going long over the highs here at 1572. So I got filled here on this candle. So over the highs, I got filled here on this candle. Very next candle, this is exactly what I was talking about. It's very whippy. Next candle, it came all the way down to 1515. And next candle kicked me out. So I was in Riot for a total of about a minute and a half, and I lost $142 on that. Now the next trade was on Disney. Disney long, I should really implement another rule. I should not be able to get in. I shouldn't get in until at least the third candle, because this one I kind of jumped the gun on this. And I knew that there was a moving average right here, a major moving average right here. So Disney was gapping up on earnings. And right here, it tried to sell off at the very beginning, but it came all the way back. Let me show you guys on the 1 minute. So this is basically what it was. So it sold off about 2 points, almost 2 points. And then it came all the way back. I was going to go ahead and get in over the highs. Very next candle. So right there, very next candle, I got in. I set my stop basically right here at the bottom of this, bottom of the second candle. Usually, whenever I do an ORB pattern, if I get in on the third candle, my stop is usually the second candle. So as you can see, the very next candle, let's see here. I got in at 9:38 and I got kicked out right within 4 minutes. So yeah, so then starting on the day, I was already down $242. So I took another loss on Disney. Then took a trade on Roku. Let's see here. So my trade on Roku is basically what I should have done with Disney, but if I would have done that with Disney, it never would have triggered. So this is exactly an ORB pattern. So first candle, it's a wide range candle. Second one, it pulls back a little bit, although it pulled back a little too much, but if it pulls back more, that's just where my stop's going to be, because I told you my stop is the second candle. So I got in over the highs right here over the highs. 43.35 was the highs. I got in at 43.39. Long 200 shares. As you can see on here, I held it all the way to 9:58, so a little bit over 12-13 minutes or so. And actually, let's see here. Yeah, 58. Never mind. 43. Yep. So I got my 2-to-1 out of it, and I ended up making $200. So that's my go-to ORB pattern that I really should have waited for on Disney. So at least I made some of the losses back from the Disney and Riot trade. Then my next trade was on Lite, Lite. Now Lite, I do not regret taking at all, because this is a perfect, basically a wedge. As you can see, it's getting pushed up. The buyers are getting pushed up, 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 and up. And like I said before, you just basically put a top on it, and then you buy it over the top, and then you set your stop. I set my stop at the bottom of the red candle, so right here at 54.60. Let's see here. I actually ended up adding another 150 shares because the pattern was perfect to me. and I ended up taking an immediate loss on that actually. So the market was also going up this morning, so let me put that up down here. So since this morning we gapped down a little bit, but the market was actually headed up. So took a loss on that, held it for what? Don't even know, 30 minutes or so. Yeah, so I held it for about 30 minutes. I got kicked out of that. I was actually thinking I was going to add if it came back over the 55.15-ish and then just set my stop here. So add and move my stop up. But that didn't happen. Pattern was perfect. I would take this every single day. I'm not really ashamed that I took this trade, or it wasn't a bad decision. It's just one of those times where the pattern doesn't work out. Let's see. My next trade on Snap. I'm not really too proud of this one, honestly. This was a little sloppy. It was a little sloppy on the pullback and definitely paid for it. So from the beginning, Snap is actually not a very big mover. So it was at the top of my list, but I'm not used to Snap moving like this, especially ripping up from 17 to almost 19 in less than 30 minutes. That's not very of like Snap. So as you can see on here, the 9's coming up on this little pullback. So it went up, it sold off, it came back again. My entry would be the next candle. So now here's where the problem lies. Now the 9 is a little too far away for it to provide proper support. So I should have waited until the proper setup. So as you can see, the next candle, it actually went up and worked. But what happened? It got rejected at 19. There were a lot of sellers at 19. I mean, this could have worked. It's just a lot of the times whenever the wicks are kind of rejecting the whole number, this is rejected. It's kind of upside down hammer. The 9's kind of far away. It kind of brings down your percentage. So if it's a pattern that works 70% of the time, the 9's kind of far away. Maybe it's 60. And then those two last candles have been selling off. Maybe you're back down to 50. And now the market's kind of going into your direction. Everything looks all right. So now you have a 50-50 shot of possibly making it. And I myself, I don't like to gamble as much, or as funny as that sounds. I like to take trades that I have higher odds of making. So this actually ended up not working out, and it got rejected here at the whole number at 19. And I ended up losing the $100 on that. So I got kicked out right here within this candle. Now, what I should have done is waited for the very next pullback. So here, the 9 is starting to curl back up. And it throws up a hammer. So what I decided to do is set my stop here under the last pullback. So 1833. I was gonna go ahead and get in over 1860 just to make sure that it's headed up. So usually I do. Entry is candle over the next high, or the next candle make a new high would be my entry. So I should have gotten in here at 1849 or 50, and my stop should have been here at 1833. Should have gotten 500 shares, but I just wanted to make sure that Snap wasn't actually pulling all the way back down to VWAP. So I waited for it to come back to 1866. Decided to take the 30-cent stop instead of the 20-cent stop, just to make sure, just to give me confirmation that it's headed back up. So I got in at 1862. As you can see, it ripped up and actually started heading back towards 19. So last time it got rejected at the whole number, and I noticed that, and I was going to wait. If I was going to get my 2-to-1, I was going to have to wait for it to break through that 19. So very next candle, it broke through. There were probably over 100,000 shares of sellers that were sitting there at 19. So it was something that went by very fast. I for a moment I thought I was actually gonna have to sell because these sellers were just stacked up on the level 2, showing that there was a ton of sellers at 19. But it actually ended up breaking through, and I ended up getting my 2-to-1 on that. I think I actually ended up making over 2.5 or so, maybe a little bit more than 2. So I actually ended up getting out of Snap at 1931. So I got 2-to-1 out of that. But as you can see, Snap actually kept climbing all the way up to the $20 mark. So I could have held it a little bit longer, but I didn't want to be greedy. I had already covered the loss before on Snap, and I had made profit on top of it. So I went ahead and got out. Now next trade is on MTSI, I believe. Yeah, so MTSI. MTSI was actually something that they called out in the room. So by the look of this, it's obviously it's gapping down because we're going to short it. By the look of this, where do you think we should short it? I'll give you a second to think about it. So if you said that you should short it right here under the 2150 and your stop should be at 22, you're absolutely correct. Now, did I see this? This wasn't even, as you can see, it wasn't even on my watch list. So I didn't see this at all. And I didn't short it during that time. Now, what we did end up doing, which is actually more dangerous than taking the reversal, is we actually took the breakdown. By taking the breakdown, we mean that we are shorting it under the lows of the day. So we're shorting it under the low of the day, and we're taking a bigger chance. So now my stop was actually going to be the 9 EMA, so I put my stop here at 21. So I shorted it right here. As you can see, it actually ended up coming back and kicking me out real fast within 10 minutes. MTSI, so I ended up losing, where's MTSI? I ended up losing $122 here. So it actually ended up working out. After it came back to VWAP, this would be the second entry. So if it gets rejected at VWAP here, probably under 21, stop over VWAP, so 400 shares short. And as you can see, there's your 1-to-1 target, and there is your 2-to-1 target. So my two entries should have been, usually what I take is here at the pullback, and then 2 at the VWAP rejection. Especially here with the whole number, it would have been something that's just my go-to that I talk about a lot on my recaps. So those should have been my two entries. I usually don't take the breakdowns, and now you know why, because they're a lot more dangerous. So that was the trade on MTSI. Now, the very last trade that I took. Now, Hasbro was actually gapping down this morning on earnings. So originally, I saw this. Remember I showed you guys that flag pattern earlier? Your entry would be here over the highs, because you can see that here. And you put a top on this, and boom. Your entry is over the highs. Your stop can be here at the whole number of 96. So you buy it here, 80 shares, whatever you want to risk, $100, and you would have, made your money back here. So now let me take this off. So that's not, I saw it, but I didn't take it because I knew that it was down gapping. Oops. I knew that it was down gapping, and but it was moving up pretty strong, so I just kind of put it off to the side, didn't pay attention to it. It's fine. Now what I did notice is I zoomed out a little bit. Let me take this off. So what I did is I noticed right around here. So went ahead and drew the lower highs. I was thinking Hasbro was actually giving up on the highs. So just put a line on that, extend to the right. And so I noticed that it actually started having trouble at the 100 mark. So the $100 mark is a huge support and resistance for a stock. Same things with $1, $5, $10, $20, $50, same thing. So with a bigger stock like this, I noticed that it was having troubles holding the 100. So what I ended up doing is I ended up shorting it here near the top. So this is something that I usually don't do as well, but I was thinking, I saw this quote the other day that the $1 million idea is worth nothing in your head. So I was thinking, okay, well, if it's respecting this downtrend, if it pops over, obviously I was wrong. But if I'm able to short it and it actually comes back down to VWAP, I would be making, I think at the time it was around 97, so I would be making somewhere around $300. Am I willing to risk $45, $50 for it to find out if I'm right? And I was already down on the day, and I knew that would bring me all the way back, and I was willing to risk it during that time because the reward is so much greater than the risk during that time. So you have to kind of calculate, is it worth it? Like, am I going the right way with this? So I ended up shorting it there at, what was it? Hasbro, 99.79. So I was risking to $100.15. So I got kicked out. Obviously, I ended up losing the $44, but so it went sideways for basically an hour. And I knew that if it went under this 99.50, this thing was just going to go. So I just kept an eye on it and put my stop over the $100.15. As you can see, I got kicked out here at $12.25. The sellers were actually starting to move up. I did notice that, and it just kind of popped and kicked me out. So it's not a big deal. It's just a small $45 loss. But if it would have worked out, think about it. I was only risking $50 to make $300. I would take those odds all day. So yeah, so that was the very last trade I took on the day. I ended up down $394, and this is my first red day for the week, so it is expected. Actually, I need to work on one of the things I do need to work on is making these red days a little bit smaller. I had a pretty small red day last Friday. It was only $100 down, but unfortunately today gave back 75% of my profits from yesterday. And obviously that's not something that you want. Obviously I'm still up and everything, but it's just I need to work on making these losses a little bit smaller so you can put more money in your pocket. So that will do it for the recap today. If you guys haven't joined the Facebook group, we're quickly growing. We're very close to the 2,000 mark. And then also give us this video a thumbs up if there's any information on here that did help you. If you guys do appreciate the videos that I am putting out. I do one of these every single day. Also, the link to the Facebook group is in the description. Also, if you guys have any questions about anything that I talked about today, make sure to leave it down in the comment section. I'll do my best to answer them for you, and I'll talk to you guys next time.